you had first a clutch belonging to Khumalo Madlala from next to the heater. You tried to hit him, you couldn't reach. Then Khumalo Madlala himself takes the crutch and hit the second suspect. Are we still together?
Silana ke uthatha khona ikhrash kaThumelo eyayiseduze ke kweheater ushaya ngayo ke kodwa ke ngeshwa akuzange uphumeleleke noma ukwazi ukuthi umshaye waseyithatha uThumelo kuwena wamshaya ngayo sisesonke.
Ngiyakulandela.
I follow you.
Where exactly did Khumalo Madlala hit the second suspect with that crutch?
uThumelo wamshaya kuphi umsolalo wesibili ngaleyo crash?
Angizange nginake ukuthi wamshaya kuphi kodwa ngiyazi khona ukuthi wamshaya.
I didn't notice as to where he hit him, but I know that he hit him.
Now, let's go to this aspect of the relative positions of the main actors in that fight, in that confines of that space in the kitchen. And I'm going to ask again that photo 15 be exhibited to us, please.
Sike uzocela ukuthi kukhonjwe isithombe u15 ila azocela khona ukuthi ushoke ukuthi bantu laba babe khona ke kuleyo fight leyo ukuthi babe kuphi nendawo noma ubani wayekuphi.
Yeah, that's the photo. Now, next to, there's a writing, it's circled, I don't know what, my vision can't see clearly. That's a 2, is that a 2? And it's circled. Next to or in that vicinity, which suspect was standing in that vicinity and the direction or position he was facing?
La kuno 2 khona ke usekliwe ubani owayeme lapha yana futhi ke noma umkhusolo owayeme lapha yana futhi ebheke ngakuphi.
Owayeme lapha yilo ama-dreads, suspect number 1.
The one who was standing there is the one with the dreadlocks, suspect number 1.
Angithi usho la.
Are you
Yes,
referring to them?
Indeed. Now, relative to him, where was the deceased that you refer to as Senzo Meyiwa? I refer to the deceased for my purposes. Where was he?
Umaywa naye ke lo uqala ke uqetha ukukhuluma ngayo uSenzo yena ke wayekuphi nendawo.
Babebhekene kanje.
They were facing each other like this.
And then they were facing each other. Were they in a lockup? Because if I understood your testimony is that they were wrestling for a firearm. Is that correct?
Shilo ukuthi babekwisana ngaso isibhamu ngithi.
Yebo kunjalo.
That's correct, yes.
Now, in that position, facing each other, they are jostling for the firearm, correct?
Bayalwa ke balwa ngaso isibhamu bebhekene benjalo ngithi.
Yebo kunjalo.
That's correct, yes.
Now, next to him, let's use the door handle as a beacon, but I'm not saying it was exactly there. Who was standing there?
Asebenzise ke ihandle lena ke isibhalo ke angithi ikona ke but nje ukhona lapha yana ke ngehandle khona. Kwakubani olapha?
Suspect number 2 wayeme khona.
Suspect number 2 was standing right there.
And relative to him and the direction that person was facing, who was in that position in front of the second suspect?
Ubani ophambi kwakhe ke ususpect number 2 futhi loyo muntu loyo owayephambi ususpect number 2 ebheke ngakuphi kuluphi uhlangothi.
Njengoba sengishilo ukuthi bekubhizi ekitchen, angisakhumbuli kahle ngoba abanye babesuka ngapha beyingapha abanye basuke ngalaba egala, so angisakhumbuli kahle ukuthi ubani wayelapha.
As I've already said that it was busy in the kitchen, the others would move from this side to this side and the others from this side to that side. So I can't remember well as to who was there.
Now, my point exactly, and I'll come there to in greater detail when we talk about the ID kit, that was compiled by Mrs. Steenkamp, I think you should recall her, and the ID parade. Now, you say you were busy, and I accept it was busy, it was hectic in that situation. For how long did you observe the facial characteristics of both accused and in particular, both suspects, and in particular, the second suspect? How long did you take in that busyness to observe the facial features of the second suspect?
Kukona ke lokho uthi kwakubhizi ke khona lapho ke ukuthi ke wathatha isikhathi esingakanani ke ukuthi ubabheke ubabone ebusweni ke ukuthi banama features athile noma ma features waphi ebusweni bona bobabili ukuthi kwakuthatha isikhathi esingakanani lokho.
Okokuqala ekitchen ilambu lasekitchen li bright kakhulu.
Firstly, the kitchen light is very bright.
Ubona ngisho impukane idlula.
You can even see a fly passing.
Lena ususpect number 2 ngambona kahle futhi ngalesi sikhathi mangiqala ngithatha icrash ngimbheka. Ngambona okokuqala mayise passage ngase ngizomshaya ngecrash ngangizama ukumshaya ebusweni.
And I saw the suspect number 2 and I looked at him. I first saw him in the passage, and when I took the crutch, I wanted to hit him in the face.
Now, and bear with me, your best educated guess in terms of time, was it a minute, was it seconds, when you looked into his face as you state?
Uma nje ungaqagela ke sikhuluma lana ngomzuzu sikhuluma ke ngama second uma ungathi nje umbhekile ebusweni.
Ngambona kahle into engayibhekanga nje ukuthi isikhathi mhlambe ngabe buku 10 minutes ufa cha angibhekanga konke lokho kodwa ukumbona yena ngambona kahle.
I looked at him well and I saw him well and I can still recall or remember him, but the only thing that I didn't look at was the time as to how long I looked at him.
Like I said, I'll come to that in greater detail when we do identification in terms of the ID kit and the ID parade. But in fact, let me leave it for that because I'll touch for it in greater detail. Now, for completeness sake, in that hectic situation where there's a firearm, there's danger, the following persons: Mtokozi Sitwala, Tumelo Madala, Khumalo, the deceased, I know, leave the deceased, and Kelly. Kelly, your mother, Tumelo Madala, and Mtokozi Sitwala. What role did they play in the fight that was happening in the kitchen?
Kuleso simo leso ke esasinobungozi ke phakathi kukhona isibhamu uma wakho uKelly uTumelo asimyeke kumufi umthokozisi yini ke ababekwenza bona ke kulolo kokulisana okwakukhona lapho ekitchen.
Wonke umuntu owayelapha yana wayezama ukushaya ngandlela thize ayaziyo kodwa mina ngesingami mina ngifinyelelanga.
Each and every person that was there was trying in whichever way that the person possible to that person to assault, but I myself I couldn't or I didn't succeed.
And in that confined space, and if we look, sink to the cupboard where there's a yellowish bucket, I'm not sure what that side is, or is it 2 sinks, I'm not sure. You are saying that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that is the 6 of you that were in the house, the adults, including yourself and the deceased and the other 4 that I counted, and the 2 suspects at the door, managed to cramp in and fit in that space for that fight.
Uthi ke bonke labantu ababaliwe lapha yana laba bawu6 ke wasebasho nabanye laba ababalile ukuthi nonke ke nani lapha kulesa space esincane esisibonayo khona lapha.
Ngikhuluma ngabantu laba engibaziyo mina akekho wayesidudla so sonke salingana lapha.
If I'm making reference or speaking about the people, those that I know, no one is usually built or is fat, so all of us fitted in there.
Now, your testimony is that at some stage during this fight that's happening in the kitchen, a gunshot goes off, correct?
Shilo ukuthi kona-ke lokho kwakwenzeka-ke kwasiqhuma isibhamu.
Yebo kunjalo.
Yes, that's correct.
When this gunshot goes off, what was the relative position of the deceased and the person with the dreadlocks? What was their relative position at that time, not during the fight now? At the time the gunshot goes off.
Ngalesikhathi-ke seqhuma isibhamu-ke yena umufi kanye-ke nalona-ke onama-dreadlocks-ke bona-ke babe isimo sabo babe kanjani-ke ngokumali nokuthi babe ngokuma kwabo-ke omunye komunye babe kanjani bakukanjani isimo sabo.
Njengoba bese ngishilo phambilini ukuthi babelwela isibhamu bobabili beresilela isibhamu ngaleso sikhathi. Nangaleso sikhathi njengoba ungibuza babelokhu belwela isibhamu beqhubeke njalo.
As I've already mentioned that they were wrestling for the firearm, both of them, and even at that time when the firearm went off, they were in that process of wrestling for the firearm.
Let me clarify it for you. My aim is not to confuse you. Let's start where we started. Where the Mark II is at with the circle, we agreed that that was the gentleman with the dreadlocks, correct?
Sishilo ukuthi la kuno-2 khona ilaba kume khona lo ama-dreadlocks angithi.
Yebo kunjalo.
Yes.
And in front of him and involved in a tussle as well for the firearm is the deceased, correct?
Phambi kwakhe-ke bekusana ngesibhamu kwakuwumufi.
Yebo kunjalo.
Yes, that's correct.
Now my question simply is this. When the firearm, the gunshot goes off, are they still in that position that you described it?
Engikubuzayo ukuthi ngalesikhathi-ke isibhamu sesiqhuma babe sekuleya ndawo-ke le obusushilo ukuthi babe mikuyona.
Ngokukhumbula kwami kunjalo.
As far as I can recall, yes.
And at the time this gunshot goes off, did you see the firearm at that stage?
Ngalesikhathi isibhamu siqhuma wasibona ngaleso sikhathi leso isibhamu.
Eqinisweni amehla ilokhu egijima yonke indawo. So angeke ngisho ukuthi ngasibona mesiqhuma cha ngezwa ngenhlansi eyangishaya phansi ngasizwa sona.
Being honest, the eyes were all running all over the place. I wouldn't say that at that time I saw the firearm, but I just heard it when it went off and the spark that hit me.
Now I want you to clarify for me, because there's an aspect yesterday of your testimony that I did not quite get correctly. You'll tell me if I'm wrong. Let me just put it according to how I put it in my notes. You said that you saw a spark when the gunshot went off, and then you then were hit by a shrapnel, correct? Or a piece of something. I'm not sure. I can't put a name on it.
Uzosho-ke uma ngaba indlela engiyibhale ngayo-ke noma engizwe ngayo-ke ingasiyona-ke uthe wabona-ke ispark uma isibhamu siqhuma-ke wase wezwa-ke into ekushayayo.
Cha awuzwanga kahle advocate. Ngithe mina isibhamu saqhuma ngezwe into eshaya phansi and then ngezwa inhlansi eyangishaya unyaweni.
No, you didn't hear me correctly, advocate. I said that the firearm went off. I then heard something that hit the floor, and then I felt a spark that hit my foot.
Oh, that's exactly what I wanted to come to, because unfortunately my first name is Sipho, but I'm not Zulu, so I don't understand the language. So the point that I'm trying to get is this: the spark that you saw was not from the fire, the gun as it fired. That's what I want to get.
Engifuna ukuthola ukuthi ispark leso wasibona sasingaphumi was not from there.
Was not from the firearm as it was shot. Remember, when let me clarify, parents.
Yeah.
When a firearm is shot, normally, especially at night, you'll see what they call a muzzle flash. That is the bent particles that come at the barrel of the firearm. So that's what I wanted to get. Is that the spark that she saw, or a spark when the bullet hits the floor.
Uthi ke okwenjayelo ke uma isibhamu siqhuma akhona ke akubizayo nanjengamazel okuphumayo ngalesikhathi uma siqhuma yiloko kubonile noma wena ukhuluma ngalespark lesi saloku okushaye phansi.
Bengishilo phambilini ngathi asikho ispark engisibonile. Ngizwe kushaya phansi, into eshaya phansi ngase ngizwa ispark esingishaya onyaweni. So akukho ngibonile.
As I said previously, I never said that, or there is no spark that I saw. The firearm went off, and then I heard something that hit the floor, and then the spark that hit my foot.
I'm not going to belabor the point because I was confused by this word implants because in Setswana we say kasi. The kasi is a spark. So that's what confused me, but let's leave it at that. Now, your testimony is that upon this gunshot going off, yourself and Tumelo Madlala ran off, yourself in the bathroom and Tumelo Madlala in some bedroom respectively, correct?
Fakazi bakho shilo ke ukuthi uma siqhuma ke sithe noma sithe uma siqhuma leso sibhamu wena noTumelo nasenbaleka ke wena wangena bathroom uTumelo ke wangena kwenye ikamera.
Kunjalo.
Yes, that's correct.
And just in I'm not taking it step by step as you took it, but further that whilst you were in the bathroom, you had a second and a third gunshot going off, correct?
Ushilo ke ukuthi inkathi use bathroom wezwa isibhamu siqhuma kwesibili wasizwa futhi siqhuma nokwesithathu.
Yebo kunjalo.
Yes, that's correct.
And in fact, if I understood your testimony correctly, is that the second shot, if the first shot and the second shot were of the same loudness, and the third one was not as loud as the first two, correct?
Uma ngikuzwe kahle kushilo ukuthi lesi sokuqala nalesi sesibili ke indlela ke saqhuma ngayo ke kwakunokufana ke kodwa ke lesi esesithathu sona ke asiqhumanga ngokufanayo nalesi sokuqala nesesibili.
Kunjalo.
That's correct.
Now, and then just for clarification purposes and completeness sake, those second and third gunshots, according to your testimony, you testified that they were both emanating from the vicinity of the kitchen area, correct?
Ushilo ukuthi nalesi sesibili nesesithathu noma sesiqhuma kwesibili nokwesithathu nalapho sasiqhuma sibuya ekitchen.
Yebo kunjalo.
Yes, that's correct.
Now, also now clarify this for me. It's a point, but it's a quick point to pass on. In the bathroom, between the bathtub and the basin, I just wanted to find out the position that we were at, because yesterday I was conflicted between the two because I couldn't hear you clearly. Were you squatting or kneeling in that position?
La phakathi kwebathtub kanye nayo ke ibasin angikuzusanga kahle ke ukuthi wawuguqe ngamadolo noma wawusquattile.
Ngikwenze kokubili.
I did both.
Okay, let me track back. I'll keep on doing that, so indulge me. How long, let's go back to the kitchen. I'm going back to the kitchen now. How long did the fight in the kitchen take place from the time when the two suspects are bundled together, they end up where they ended up, a fight ensues, and the first shot, the first gunshot goes off? What was the time duration for that?
Isikhathi okwasithatha kusukela nkathi ke njengoba ushilo ukuthi nasukuma nonke ke nase nibadudula bobabili ke ngasikhathi esodwa. Isikhathi kwasithatha ukuthi nibadudule nibase kitchen ke kwakhona loka okulwa ukhona ekitchen kwaze kwaqhuma isibhamu siqhuma okokuqala ukuthi kukonke lokho kwathatha isikhathi kwakuyisikhathi esingakanani.
Njengoba sengishilo phambilini ukuthi isikhathi into yokugcina uyibhekayo.
As I've already said previously that time is the last thing that you look at.
Especially futhi makwenzeka into enjena kwesinye isikhathi ufile ngathi kuthatha isikhathi eside ngoba kuningi okwenzakalayo kwesinye isikhathi ufile ngathi kusheshile so angizange isibheke isikhathi okwangempela.
And especially when something of this nature happens, at times it feels like it takes a long time, at times it feels like it's quick. So I didn't look at the time.
I understand that, and it's a normal reaction. But what I'm trying to say now, borrowing from your weight, the feeling that you had, did it feel like it took longer or it took shorter?
Kanye-ke kuloko oqeda ukusho-ke ukuthi ngesinye isikhathi ngathi isikhathi eside, ngesinye isikhathi ngathi isikhathi esifishane. Kuwena-ke kwakuzwakala engathi kuthatha isikhathi eside noma kusheshile.
Lo mbuzo unzima kakhulu ngoba kuyashintshashintshana. Sometimes njengoba sengishilo ukuthi ufile ngathi kusheshile, kwesinye isikhathi ufile ngathi kuthatha isikhathi eside, especially makuyinda into ebuhlungu kanjeyana.
That question it's a difficult one because, as I've already said, that it interchanges. At times it feels like it took long. At times it feels like it was very quick, especially in such a hurtful situation.
Now, let me jump back now. You are squatting or kneeling in the bathroom. I just want to see where the weight is. To the boots, please. Now, I see a bluish object, and obviously from there, I won't see the basin. But just for clarification purposes for me, because I couldn't understand yesterday because you were emotional at times, where were you kneeling or squatting in relation to that picture that's on the screen now?
Musebenzisa lesi sithombe-ke ngathi wawunyile kuphi noma uguqe kuphi noma uskwate kuphi?
Asiqale la le ibasin.
Let's
So-
start here. Sorry, let's start here.
Oh,
That's
oh,
the
okay,
basin
so
where the
the
witness
basin.
is pointed. That's the basin. Yebo.
And then la kunesikhala esincane okwazi ukuma khona mhlawumbe uma ugeza amazinyo noma ugeza izandla.
And there's a little space there where you are able to stand when you are brushing your teeth or you are washing your hands.
So ngangime khona kuleso sikhala leso esijwayele ukusebenzisa ama sigeza izandla noma sigeza amazinyo.
So I was standing in that gap that we usually make use of when we're brushing our teeth or washing our hands.
Let's look at photo 22 as well. If I look at, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, the space that you refer to where you normally would wash your teeth or hands or whatever on the basin seems to be facing the door that is on your right as I stand here, correct?
Lesi siphese ukukhuluma ngaso engathi-ke sibheke umnyango wakho uthi la ame khona-ke ozoba se-right.
Cha akunjalo.
No, that's not true.
Ayibhekile emnyango.
The basin is not facing the door.
Uma uvula umnyango ibasin ibheke kanje. So uma uvula umnyango ibasin ibhekile.
If you open the door, as the witness is indicating, the basin is facing that side.
And perhaps let's go back to 21 again, photo 21. Now, that door, to which direction does it close? The bathroom door?
Uvalekela kuphi ngakuphi lo mnyango le?
Uvalekela mawuthi uvalekela mawuvula uvulela ngaphakathi.
When you open to the inside.
Yeah,
Okay, you close, it comes to me.
to you, yes.
Now, I'm going to, with regard to that, you are in the bathroom, the gunshots have occurred, it has quietened down, and your testimony now is that you then peep through the bathroom door to ascertain what is still going on where the gunshots were coming from, correct?
Ushilo-ke ukuthi ungaphakathi ebedroom. Yaqhuma-ke isibhamu. Kwase kuyathula-ke, wase uyapopola-ke upopola ngawo umnyango lo wasebedroom ubheka ukuthi kwenzakalani.
Yebo kunjalo.
Yes, that's correct.
Now, your testimony is that as you peep through, you see the deceased going towards the dining room. Is that how you put it? Because I couldn't hear some of your testimony yesterday.
Ushilo ke ukuthi uthe uma upopola unjalo ke wambona ke umufi uthe ekhokhoba ya uthe wambona ke ekhokhoba eya ngase dining room uthi ke akazwanga kahle into kuyisho nobufakazi bakho.
Yebo njalo.
Yes, that's correct.
And according to your testimony, if I understood it well as well, is that as he's going towards the dining room, he's coming from the kitchen area, correct?
Uya edining room usuka ngase kitchen.
Yebo njalo.
That's correct, yes.
Then your testimony further is that shortly then you see Kelly following the deceased, correct?
Wasobona uKelly emlandela?
Yebo njalo.
Yes.
Then shortly thereafter your mom also
Wasobona
following
uma
them,
emlandela.
correct?
Yebo njalo.
Yes, that's correct.
And then also you then see the first suspect, the one with the dreadlocks, also following towards the direction where the three of them had gone, correct?
Wasubona nalo oqala ke umsolwa ebalandela.
Yebo njalo.
Yes, that's correct.
And that Kelly Khumalo stood behind the deceased and your mom was next to them at the couch in the vicinity of the corner of the couch and the TV stand, correct?
uKelly emuva kwakhe umufi uma wakho yena ke emiduze nabo ke kodwa ke uceleni kwe-couch ekhoneni ye-couch eduze ne-TV stand.
Yebo njalo.
Yes, that's correct.
And finally, you say, your testimony is that Kelly's cellular phone, the S4, was at the time charging and it was on the TV stand, if I understood you well, is that correct?
Manguzwe kahle ke uthi S4 yakhe uKelly yayi ku-TV stand i-charger khona lapho.
Bengithe izolo mengikhuluma ukuthi angisakhumbuli noma ibiphezu kosofa ku-armrest noma ibisestandini ngoba indawo esiyisebenzisayo lezo mes-charge.
If I remember well, what I said yesterday was I can't remember whether it was on the couch, on the armrest, or on the stand, because those were the two places that we were using when charging.
Be that as it may, you testify that your mother then takes that phone off the charger, Kelly's phone, correct?
Wasuthi ke uma wase eyikhipha noma ethatha ke leyo phone leyo kaKelly kwi-charger.
Ngambone seyiphethe yebo ukuthi kuyithathe phezu kwe-armrest noma phezu kwe-stand angimbonanga ngoba wayibhekile.
When I saw her, she had it. As to whether she took it from the stand or the armrest, I didn't see that because she was facing that way.
And if I understood you well, you say when your mother takes that phone, it somehow fell on the sofa or on the couch. Is that my understanding of that aspect of your testimony?
Ingabe ngikuzwe kahle yini uma uthi yase iwa kwele sofeni?
Engikushilo ukuthi yathathwa ezandleni zakhe. Ususpect number 1 mayimshaya and then wayithatha ifone umama iyeke bambisiswa.
What I said was it was taken from her hand, when suspect number 1 hit her, witness indicating with an elbow, hit her, and then he took her from her hand.
And that's the question that I was going next to, that you say you saw the first suspect with dreadlocks hitting your mom with an elbow and taking that phone, correct?
Umbonile umemshaya uma wakho ngendololwane ethatha leyo phone.
Yebo ngambona.
Yes, I saw it.
I'll come to this aspect when I deal with your previous and inconsistent statements. Now, I'm going to jump the issue of going to the hospital and all of that. Now, as Now it's quieting down. The suspects are all gone. You go to seek for help.
Sekuthuleke manje abasolwa abasekho ke wase uhamba ke uyobheka usizo.
Yebo mnjani?
Yes, that's correct.
You go and seek for help because you say you tried to call 10111, but you couldn't for some reason. What was the reason thereof?
Ushilo ke wathi wazama ke ukuthi ufonele u10111 kodwa ke awuzama ukuphumelela. Kwakuyini ebangela lokho noma eyabangela lokho?
Njengoba sengishilo ukuthi ingqondo yafreeza, hayi ukuthi u10111 angikwazi, ngiyawazi. Kodwa ngaleso sikhathi ngoba kuningi okwakwenzeka ngavele ngafreeza ngangazi noma ngidayile noma ngenza njani.
As I've already said that my mind just froze. Know that I don't know 10111. I do know 10111, but at that time I didn't know whether to dial or not.
But you are with Kelly and your mother in that sitting room. Why don't you give the phone to one of them to call for assistance?
Kodwa ke wawukanye nayo uKelly noma lapho e-sitting room. Kwathini ke ukuthi unganikeza omunye wabo ukuthi ke asize.
Nabo babekhala ngabona ukuthi nabo kusho ukuthi bakule position efana neyami, so ngafuna umuntu sober minded.
They were also crying. I then realized that they were in the same position that I was in, so I looked for someone who was sober-minded.
Now, your evidence is that you go over to Mapiri's house, but before you get there, there's a car parked on the street belonging to Ntabiseng, whom you described as a relative of Mapiri, correct?
Wase uya ke kwa Mapiri, kodwa ke uthe uma uya kwa Mapiri wabona ke kunale moto emi estradini yakhe uNthabiseng oyisihlobo sakhe ke uMapiri.
Yebo mnjani?
Yes, that's correct.
Now, at that time, in your frantic state, why did you not ask Ntabiseng, because she is known to you, and scream that there has been an issue or a problem in the house, that she must immediately summon help?
Kwenzeka kanjani ke ukuthi uNthabiseng ke ungaceli kuyena usizo nanjengomuntu omaziyo ke uNthabiseng umtshele ukuthi khona okwenzekile ucela akusize.
UNthabiseng asinalo ukujwayelana ngalowo ndlela kodwa uMaphiri umngani kamama.
We not that used to each other or close with Ntabiseng, but Mapiri is my mother's friend.
And ujwayele ukuza ekhaya ngaso sonke isikhathi.
And she is used to coming to our house all the time.
Ingqondo yangisa kuyena.
So my mind took me to her.
Accept that. My Lord, with leave of the court, I'm going to ask for 10 minutes because I'm changing exhibits and my bigger document is on the other side, my Lord. And I need to sort out exhibits that I'm going to ask questions.
10 minutes for that.
Yes, my Lord.
Mr. Baloyi, where are the exhibits?
It's
I think they are on just on the other
crate.
side.
They are where?
No?
They're in the crate, my
Just
Lord.
on the
It's
other side.
stacks of files on the crate on the other
They're on
side.
the floor.
Yes.
No, you can go and take them.
My Lord, I have to peruse one by
No,
one.
you can take them. I thought you were going to take them at Victoria Square.
Then, my Lord, I'm going to ask because I was wondering this morning whether to lay them down here so that it's easier for me to do as members of the press, my Lord. So, hence I requested 10 minutes. Just now.
You want to take them all out, or you take them one at a time, one at a time, one at a time. Or you are laying them all. There were 12 exhibits, as I remember reading. Mr. Baloyi, how many exhibits were there? 12 was.
In the previous talk.
Yeah.
No, they were not. They were not.
So you want to take them one by one, or you want them all to be strewn up around them?
My Lord, for the sake of brevity, so that each time I don't beg for an indulgence to go again.
So you need 10 minutes. Okay,
Yes.
fine. Come back in 10 minutes.